Welcome to the 30-Minute Hour. It's the personal development podcast for entrepreneurs who are looking to level up and become unstoppable. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. Joining me as always, you know him as the super CEO, the business strategist extraordinaire, and all-around good guy, Ted Fells.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday.
Absolutely. It's certainly a happy Monday. At the time of this recording, yesterday was Easter Sunday, so hopefully we wish everybody a happy Easter. Hope you had a happy Easter. Certainly was a good time on this end. But Ted, I felt a little challenged coming into this episode. You know, I just felt this need that, you know, it may be time to step our game up here.
You think? you think?
Yeah, I just happened to notice our guest video. We're going to give him a formal introduction here in a second. And I mentioned backstage, I'm like, you know, your video looks a whole lot different than mine.
You remember those little Sesame Street shows? They say one of these things is not like the other.
Right.
Like it's a big difference.
So Ted, he says to me, "Well, Eric, you do know this is what I do, right?"
This is what I do, right? Right. Well, there's no need to side, half stepping if that's what you do.
This is my thing.
Right.
So no, definitely, we get a lot of, at least I know I get a lot of questions from people who want to start a podcast, or they're going to be on different podcasts. And they have questions about lighting and video and sound, and which microphone to get. And this is the episode to get all of those questions answered and really take your game to the next level and understand that with the impact that those little tweaks you make to your production, what they can make. But first, you need to understand that this is not your everyday podcast.
No, we do it a little different here.
We do things a little differently here on the 30-Minute Hour. But of course, you can watch us live. If you like the video, you can go to the 30-Minute Hour Facebook page. You can see us on LinkedIn. You can see us on YouTube. But then we have quite a few people that like to listen to the podcast on the various platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all those great places. But this is definitely one of those episodes you'll want to share.
You definitely want to share this.
You don't want to share the show. You want to take a picture with your phone of the 30-Minute Hour and just share it. Share it to like three people that can use help with their virtual game.
Three or 300, just as many as you want.
300, exactly. Exactly. But definitely make sure that you share the show. And we told you how this is not your everyday podcast. So how many podcasts have a special correspondent?
Whew.
Like I listen to podcasts all the time, and we are the only podcast that has a special correspondent. So I think this is the first time this would be a great time for us to bring her on.
That's right.
This is Maisha Hoy.
Well, look at that. All right.
I need to get some theme music, please.
See, that's how it is, Eric. See, you give them an opening, they want theme music, they want their own dressing room. See, that's what happens, Eric. That's what happens.
And I do definitely want, again, I'm going to mispronounce his name, but Junaid's background, he looks like he should be on the Bloomberg channel or CNN or something like that.
Right. Let's see.
Yeah, he's got different angles and everything. He's going to talk to us about how he sets that up and how others can do the same. But I think this is a good opportunity, Maisha, our special correspondent, to provide everybody with the What Now Movement update.
The What Now Movement update. Well, welcome. I guess hello to everybody. Happy Easter. And for those of you that are Muslim, is it Ramadan season as well? So I don't know, happy Ramadan to those. We are so excited at the What Now Movement. As I was thinking about what I would say as the correspondent, I was thinking about how we went from a Facebook group to a business summit, to our own Coffee and Conversations podcast. And now we just launched our own What Now Movement goal sheet. So we are doing great things at the What Now Movement. Absolutely great and wonderful things. And I will post the link to our goal sheet because we've been talking about goal accomplishment. Our hashtag is achieved in 2022. And we've been asking everybody to write these things down, but now we finally have the What Now Movement goal sheet.
Wow.
Who
knew? Who knew?
You did not know. You're the founder.
Ted, it's like we're hearing this for the first time, isn't it?
Amazing ideas. Amazing.
We're also getting ready for the What Now Movement Business Summit. So we are looking actively for sponsors who would like to help our career professionals, help high-performing individuals, and people who just need to pivot and be ready for the next pivot. That's coming up June 25th. So we are having a lot of fun at the What Now Movement. We're helping a lot of people get ready for what's next. I can't tell if I'm picking to the right side. But more importantly, we are this side. Thank you. This side. This side. Oh yeah, I got it. I'm always learning something new when I'm talking to Eric and Ted. So now I know. So we're excited about what's happening. So I'm going to post a link to our goal sheet. Once we get the sponsorship really where I like it to be as a marketing person, we'll post that as well. But if you are interested in talking more about it, especially with how to get your, how to look Hollywood on a podcast, that sounds like
right. That's what it's Hollywood. That's what
Hollywood. Sounds like an excellent session for our people. Please get in contact with us at thewhatnowmovement.com, or you can send us an email at thewhatnowmovement@gmail.com.
Fantastic.
And that is your What Now Movement correspondent for the day.
Yeah, we are gonna have to get some music for that.
We are.
Yeah,
that's to put it over the top.
That's right.
Absolutely. So Maisha, can you share, because you changed your name at one point? You were the chief marketing officer, but now you've got a better name.
Yeah. So coincidentally, I think I've been working with the What Now Movement since February. I think I had a year in. I didn't know that until recently, but that goes back to, I've changed my name a couple of times because our chief strategy officer, the super CEO, Ted Fells, has never given me a cool title like he gave everyone else cool title. So now I am the marketing
maven. The bus. She did not under the bus and then back up.
Wait, I'm using Eric's use of alliteration, right? Marketing maven for the What Now Movement. So I'm tying it all in together.
That's right. That's good.
Marketing maven.
Marketing maven.
There you go. Awesome. Well, we certainly thank you, Maisha, for that What Now Movement update. And you're welcome to hang around, or you can go backstage, whatever you want to do. You're welcome to do that.
I'm going to go backstage because I want to post the links, and okay. I'm also hungry because I have dinner around this time.
but
I will share, and post the links as well. So have a great show.
No, so great to have you. Look forward to seeing you in the coming weeks.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you, Maisha. And be on the lookout for that link she's going to post, because you'll be able to access that goal sheet and really take your game to the next level. And speaking of goals, this would be the perfect time to bring on our guest, or introduce our guest. And the theme of our episode today is how to bring Hollywood film tactics to your home studio.
Whew. Now that's serious. One more time, what is it, Eric?
How to bring Hollywood film tactics to your home studio.
Oh, I'm all in. I want to see this.
Absolutely. So, I mean, the question is, have you been thinking about starting a podcast, but you feel overwhelmed by the technology? Have you ever struggled to get your video, your sound, or your lighting right? So after the day, your struggle can become a strength.
and you don't have to just pull a landing like I do. Like you need, or move like from side to side. Like you want to be real fancy with it.
Yeah, I think Junaid does it a little different from me.
Does a little different.
Yeah, just a little bit. So Junaid Ahmed, he is an expert at bringing Hollywood film tactics to your home studio. He's also the creator of the Hacks and Hobbies podcast, and this enables him to help you through firsthand experience because he's got his own podcast. He has to make sure his sound is right and everything is right. The things that he teaches and helps people with. So this will be an awesome episode. We'll go ahead and bring him on now. Please join me in welcoming to the 30-minute hour podcast, Junaid Ahmed.
Hey, Eric. So excited and honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah, man, truly an honor. This is something we wanted to do for quite a while. You did a couple of things in the What Now movement when it was Technology Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
It just totally blew my mind looking at your video and some of the angles and some of the things like that. So I thought it'd be great for us to share with our audience so they can step their game up as well.
including us, because I just keep looking over there like, man, what is going on? Like we are total losers here. Look at this guy here.
Well, Ted, Eric, really excited to be here. And yes, it was a struggle that I went through. And if I were to show you what I look like, I'm just going to put that up here. Hopefully it comes up. Let's see. Right? Is this the one? There we go. So, sorry.
You look like me.
Wrong window. This is what I look like. Okay, when I was first starting out, this was my setup. I wanted to level up. And to level up, you need to, work on yourself and work on the foundation, which is, paint the room black and then start adding lights, start adding the elements that then, bring that video quality up.
Yeah, you've certainly leveled up if you look at that before and after. I do want to give people some perspective just to see how you got to this point. Let's roll back the clock. So when you were growing up, like what did you want to be? Did you know you were going to be the IT guy?
That's a great question. I did not know that I was going to be the IT guy. I knew that I wanted to be a pilot, and it was a long time ago. And then my dad finally brought a computer home. And this was, back in the 90s. And I was like, whoa, what is this thing? This is fantastic. And my dad's been an analyst for the longest time and in computers, but I didn't know that till the computer came home. And I saw him sitting at that desk, typing away on that keyboard. And that just put me in trance because I was like, how is he not looking where he's typing? And I mean, we all do that now. We can all type. But when I was that young and, looking at my dad do that, it just blew my mind. So from then on, I was all in. And I was all in. And I was all right, let me just learn everything that I can about it. And since that, I haven't stopped.
Interesting. So what were some of the other life experiences that led to you becoming this guy that helps people with their home studio Hollywood style?
Well, I was really into video, and I've been behind the video camera for a good part of 3 decades. And being behind the camera, watching technology grow, and capturing photos and videos, I didn't really focus on storytelling and stuff like that. But over time, I really got good at the tech. And for the past decade, I've been shooting short films and documentaries and behind-the-scenes videos with different teams. All I was doing was manning the camera. I knew how to do that really well. And everybody came in to tell the story, direct the actors, figure out the other logistics. But I really enjoyed being behind the camera. But as the pandemic hit, I knew that I had to be in front of the camera. And then that's what inspired me. That was like, okay, I know what we did back out for the movies, for the shows, for the documentaries. Let's bring that in house. How can we bring that in house? And started putting these things together. And then it wasn't just me. I also saw my inspiration around me. I saw Pat Flynn doing live streams. I saw a lot of people started doing live streams, and I started joining those communities and watching other people. I'm like, okay, there's a whole community of people that are all into gear. They're all into putting this stuff together. Let's learn from them and see how I can level up through that journey.
Okay, so you saw. So now, who were some of your other mentors? People that you looked up to and said, you know what, he's got it right. I want to be like that.
Well, the first one was Pat Flynn, and that was before even he started doing the live streams. I bought a few of his courses, and I saw his videos, and I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do a course, my video needs to look like that. So I built out this wall of basically wood panels. I was like, okay, I know woodworking. Let me start putting this together. And as I put this together, the room started coming together. So Pat Flynn was one of them. There's Ascending Narduzzi. There's a video coach. There's a lot of people that I look up to. Peter McKinnon was another one on YouTube, a huge YouTuber. Casey Neistat. So all these people, they've been on YouTube. They've been creating content through podcasts and whatnot. So I just follow along. I was like, hey, if they can do it, I should be able to as well. Just got to find the right group of people and the right tech to understand and putting it together.
Oh, that's great. I think that's important. If they can do it, why can't I? I'm always saying to people all the time, well, why not you? A lot of times we look at people that are having great success and like, oh man, they're just lucky. But why not you?
It could be you.
Exactly. Right. You have to put in the work, find the mentor. What's their strategy? I just think that's a key thing. So we're here on the 30-Minute Hour podcast. Those of you who are watching us live, we got quite a few people joining on from the What Now movement and other places. Make sure that you're commenting. We want to talk back and forth with you. I know you may have some questions about you getting your lights right and getting your sound right and how to get your background like Junaid's. I know those questions are out there, so make sure you're commenting right along with us as we go here. But Junaid, I want to kind of give everybody the full perspective. What would you say was the worst decision you've made as a podcast host, for example?
Well, the very number one thing that I screwed up on was I was editing my own episodes. I was like, hey, I know technology. I know software. I don't need to pay anybody to do this. I can do this myself. So I started editing my own episodes, and there was a time I had a backlog of 40 episodes, and because I was just having conversations, recording them, and then not spending the time and editing the stuff together. And as I spent 3+ hours, I got myself fired from my job. Because I was spending way too much time on the podcast. I'm like, okay, let's back up. I really need to find somebody who can help me edit these episodes. And eventually I found an editor. I found somebody to help market. I found somebody to do the other part of the podcasting because it is a lot of work. It's not easy, right? So finding people. And I was all about saving time, but saving money initially. I was like, I want to save money because I can do this all. But what I didn't realize was that money is something that can come and go, but time is something that doesn't come back. Like once this minute is gone, it's never renewing. It's non-renewable resource. So like I need to add more hours to my day. How can I do that? Well, there are people who are experts that can help you in one place or another. Let's go find those people.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that because someone with your level of expertise you could easily do it yourself, but you knew to grow and get to the next level, you needed to free your time up.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yes. Cool. And I hope everybody got that, because I think that has a lot of applications. I just think in business, you have to get to the point where you're working on the business and not just in the business, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that's critical. So what advice do you have, Junaid, for that entrepreneur? They want to start a podcast. They know that's what they need to do, but they feel intimidated by the technology.
Look, use the technology as the vessel for what you want to deliver out there, right? Because technology is really easy once you dig in a little bit. Like, we didn't know how to operate our refrigerators. Well, because you don't need to. You just need to set a temperature and put your stuff in there. Microwave ovens, when you buy a new one, it's a little hard to figure out in the beginning. But then you work at it because you want to heat up your tea, your coffee, or your food. So it all comes down to, okay, let's put some time in and learn this stuff out. So video or technology is the same thing. We all did not have smartphones 10 years ago, right? We all have smartphones. We figured them out. So learning one more thing is not that hard. And let me give you a fact. People say it's hard to learn new technology. I 100% guarantee that it is not, because our brains produce 1,700 new brain cells every single day. And these will go to die if you didn't utilize and learn something new. So you have more than enough to go and learn something new.
Man, 1,700 every day. Did you know that, Eric?
I did not know that. I didn't. No. I mean, that proves that it's learnable. It's just about not being intimidated. And Ted, we've had quite a few guests that are doing high level things, and we're like, how did you learn to do that? And their answer is, oh yeah, I went on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, they taught themselves.
And we're really lucky to have that resource available. I mean, 10, 15 years from now, when I was growing up, there was no YouTube. Like, you'd have to go to the library to learn.
Now you're talking, right? I've been thinking about that all the time. How much easier school would have been.
Oh my God.
When you could just YouTube, Google some stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, now you got to go to the library.
Absolutely. And talking about the library, I recently read this story, and I don't know if you've heard of it before. It's called The Oldest Student. It's a story about Miss Walker, Miss Mary Walker. She was the oldest student ever in the U.S. She's actually, it's a true story. So Mary was born into slavery. This is in the 1800s in the U.S. And when she was 8 years old, she was sold to be a slave. After the Emancipation Proclamation, she was freed. But then, now that you're free, you still got to work. So it was frowned upon for them to learn to read, and she really wanted to do that. But after a century, okay, so she got married at 16. She had a husband, but they all worked. But she outlived her 3 kids, her 2 husbands, her entire family. So at 116 years old, she's like, I still want to learn how to read. All she saw was squigglies everywhere she looked. So at 116 years old, she's like, now is my time. I'm going to go learn how to read. Wow. So luckily, the building that she was living in, they were teaching how to read. So she goes, she takes classes, and by age 121, she graduates, and she's now able to learn to read. And she had a Bible in her hand for the longest time that her sons and her husbands would read to her, but she never had the chance. But now at 121 years old, lady, she got to meet President Nixon. She got to meet President Lyndon B. Johnson. So Like, this is in the history books. Look up Mary Walker and her story of the oldest student. It's just mind blowing. Like, if she can learn at 116 years old, we have no excuse.
No excuse. No excuse.
No, that's a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Because it's the difference between having a growth mindset versus having a fixed mindset, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, if you have a growth mindset, you're like, I can learn. And that's where your confidence comes from. When you're like, you know what? I may not be an expert, but I can learn.
I can learn.
Right?
100%.
If you have a fixed mindset, it's like, oh, I'm not a techie.
That's it.
Yeah, that's not my thing. I was never good at that in school, blah, 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 blah. So, no, I think that's critical. So if you had to prioritize, right, there's a lot of components to having your presentation right. You have lighting, you got video, you got sound. Which would you say is the most important?
The most important part of your video, it's going to be funny, is your audio. Right? Because if people can't hear you well, they don't know what you're trying to tell them. They're not going to capture your message. Technology runs on sound. Transcription services won't work if they can't hear you properly, right? So all of that comes down to, okay, having really good audio. And here's the beautiful part about audio. If you have high quality audio, you're perceived 19% or you're perceived smarter and more likable. They did a research study where they ran the same audio through two different filters. One was like high quality, the other one was a little broken down. And they talked to the people and they're like, oh, this person was 19% people said that this person was smarter, they liked him more, and they wanted to hear more of it. And it's true, like we love good music and we try to tune the radio just the right so we don't get that static anymore. You know, that's why audio is so important. So focus on the audio first and then we work on the other things.
Interesting.
So that is interesting. So basically you're 19% more likely to be perceived as smarter if your audio is better. Huh. Interesting. That's great to know, because I've always heard that people will forgive bad video before they forgive bad audio. Yeah.
Well, in this kind of virtual day, you don't ever hear people saying, your camera's not, no, they're like, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Absolutely.
You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Oh man. So Junaid, what are some examples you have where it's somebody an entrepreneur you work with, you've improved their video, you've improved their sound, and they got much better results because of it? Share some of those examples.
Man, that's a really deep question. Or example that I could give of once you've leveled up your audio and your video, right? You've got the right amount of lighting coming, because lighting is kind of free, especially depending on the day of the week or the hour of the day. Lighting is free, but depending on the late nights, then you don't have the sun coming in. So some of the examples, some of the results that we've seen. My very first client that came to me was like, "Hey, I'm trying to get LinkedIn Live, but I've been rejected, so I need help with the video." Now, she only came to me after she got approved to go live on LinkedIn. She's like, I got approved live on LinkedIn. I tried 10 times, finally got approval. I need help with the video. I need help with the setup. So I'm like, well, here's a list of equipment that you need. But before you do that, let's find out where you're going to be setting all of this up. Because we need to know the background. We need to know the room layout and everything. So that's the first thing that I start with is start with room analysis, figure out the room, then start adding the lights, the audio, the camera, and then set it up just the right way.
So you mentioned a room analysis. Talk more about that. So if you're helping somebody out with their home studio, that's your first step. You do a room analysis.
Correct.
So what's involved in a room analysis?
So to set up, to basically analyzing the room, you figure out, okay, where's the door in this room? Where are the windows in this room? Where's all the lights and walkways of this, right? Does this room have a flat wall? Does this room have any of these things? Because once you figure those things out, now we need to know the dimensions of the room. How big is this room? How small is this room? Where will the audio bounce around and come back to your microphone? Where should we place the camera in this room? So all of these things are super important to figure out what all is needed in the room. Because if you have a lot of flat walls, a lot of windows, they're going to cause room echo coming back. So we need to have wall coverings. We got to have window coverings, because before you even think about the camera, you got to think about the room itself. And if you think about Hollywood and film and TV shows, they spend 85 to 90% of their time in pre-production and getting everything else right. And then one day shoot, people just come in, they shoot the scene, and they're good to go. But they have to put in all of that prep work to get it going. Example, you're throwing a party for people to come over. You spend all day cleaning up, getting the food ready, making sure you have everything. And then the party probably lasts 2-3 hours and it's done. So from that perspective, video or your studio needs that same kind of commitment and time, so that you can show up and do your episode, do your interview, and now you're done for the day.
Now that's a great way to put it. It makes it clear how important that planning and setup is to really getting it right. And you talked about how important sound is. What recommendation do you have for the person who's looking to find the right microphone?
So now there are a lot of microphones, and there might be a lot of different scenarios that you're probably going through. So let's say you're doing a talking head and you're just going to be in front of the camera all the time. You can either go with a wireless microphone, which could be a little lavalier attached to you, or you can have a dedicated microphone that's in front of you. Now, there are two different school of thought. You either want the microphone in the shot or you want the microphone out of the shot. So depending on how you want to do it, you can set up a microphone in your space and get really good audio. The closer you are to the microphone, like if I get closer, you'll even hear more deep sound, the better the sound comes out. So the microphone that I recommend, and it's the simplest one to set up, is the Shure MV7. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on your local places. And the microphone that I've been using for a mobile solution, let's say I'm walking around in my workshop, I'm doing woodworking, and I have multiple cameras set up and people can see me, and that if I were to get up now and walk away from here, you won't be able to hear me that properly because I have to be close to the microphone. But this lav mic, which connects to me and then the other piece connects to the computer, works really good, especially if you're doing yoga, you're doing some athletic workout, you're showing people exercises, right? Because there's so many different ways you could do. A wireless microphone does the job for you. So those are the only two ones you should really think about, especially if you're doing a podcast or if you're doing something like this. But there are a ton of different microphone types that you can pick on. It all depends on the scenario that you have.
And what's your thoughts on using a pop filter? You recommend that most podcasters or all podcasters should think about that, or what?
So pop filter helps remove that pop sound, especially if you're speaking directly into the microphone, and it kind of holds the air back so you're not blowing up the condenser unit that's capturing the audio. Now, pop filters are great, especially if there's going to be wind around. Most microphones, especially Shure MV7, comes with a foam pop filter on top of it. It's not necessary for you to get a separate one. That's really important if you're a really loud singer, or you're gonna, you're putting out a lot of sound. Whereas in podcasting, you don't necessarily do a whole lot of that, because you're having a personal, very intimate conversation, and I'm just talking to one person right now, and this person is paying a lot of attention, but there are two earbuds in their ears, or maybe they're listening to the episode in the car. It all comes down to creating that environment where they're really paying a lot of attention, and we want to be respectful of that.
Good. And so for those of you that may not know what a pop filter is, it's the little circular shield-like device that gets right in front of the microphone. You see people that are in like recording studios, they usually use it. There's a noticeable difference between using one and not using one.
Yeah.
And so I want to get one entrepreneur 101 real quick. I don't want to just assume that everybody understands the benefit of this, because we want to talk about your podcast here in a second. But what do you see as the benefit for an entrepreneur to have a podcast?
Man, so if you've been following the internet for any point in time, right? They said content is king. Right? What is content? Content enables Google to find your website. And what is this content? This content could be a blog. This content could be any piece of written material that you write for your business. And we've been pushing. And now what happened is social media arrived. And now people are like, no, you got to have engagement. But the funny thing is that content, like Google is still looking at content. They're still searching the web. But on social media, it's a totally different language. Now, the beautiful thing about a podcast is that it is a much easier way to create content, because we're using our God-given voice to talk at 200 to 300 words per minute, as opposed to writing at 60 to 90 words per minute using our keyboard. And with the power of technology, you can record an episode. You can then transcribe the text, go in there, edit that text, and make that a blog post. So now you got 2, 3, 4 pieces of content from that one episode. What is that going to do? It is going to build your authority in your space. And if you're having real conversations, if you're teaching people something really important, it's going to start showing up as authority builder for yourself. So a podcast is a quick way for you to create content for your own business, for your own expertise. Now, the beautiful thing is, when I started podcasting, there was only 600,000 podcasts in the world. 600,000 podcasts. They're now sitting at 2.8 million podcasts in the world.
Wow.
So over 2 million new podcasts have been created in the last 2.5 years, 3 years, because it is more accessible. It is much easier to have a conversation, and it brings people so much closer, because you now build a relationship with the people that you're talking to.
Now, one of the things I think is that the separator, if somebody hears, it's 2 million podcasts, oh my goodness, how do I separate myself? The separator is that all 2 million aren't making it past episode 100.
Yeah.
So I think what makes the difference is if you're consistent, I think that can help you to stand out. Because a lot of people, the graveyard is filled with podcasts that were started and only made it to 14 episodes.
Yeah. In fact, my first podcast, which was called Still Brewing It, back in 2012, only lasted 4 episodes, because we didn't have the technology, We didn't have the consistency. The time zones were all out, and it takes a lot of work down. It's a lot of work to build that out.
Absolutely, but it goes back to what you said earlier about getting help, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having the chances of you getting to episode 100 go up dramatically if you have a team as opposed to you're trying to edit every episode.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
man. So let's talk about your podcast. By the way, congratulations on all the success of it. You're the host of the Hacks and Hobbies podcast, and a little birdie told me that you rank on listen notes in the top 2.5% of all podcasters.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate that.
So tell us, like, what can people expect when they tune in to Hacks and Hobbies podcast?
That's an excellent question. I love to dig into the origin stories of the guests that I talk to, meaning how did they take their side hustles into the main hustle? How did they go from zero to hero? And I did not know that. And then the other selfish thing that I was doing on the podcast, talking to those folks, is figuring out their formula. Like, what's the formula? And like you said, it's consistency, right? You got to be consistently creating and talking about what you do. Like, the more you only have business when you talk about your business. When you talk about what you're doing is the only time you get business. Or you got to talk about your business to have a business, essentially. So that's what they can come and listen to on the podcast, these origin stories, as well as key takeaway points from each of these guests that I talk to. Yeah, basically that's been really amazing. Talking to over 300 people has been a lot of fun and joy.
So it's interesting. When you have like family, like virtual events, do you like come on with your fancy screen like that? Everybody's looking at like.
I've done that a couple of times. Yes. We show up to Boy Scouts meetings, and they're like, "Whoa, that's a lot of lights." So I gotta dim it down a little.
Right. Like, my dad's setup is better than your dad's setup.
Yeah, basically.
Your dad's a loser. Look at my dad.
Oh man, can you do the different angle thing again, where you
show yourself? You want me to do it?
Not you, Ted.
So this is my side camera angle, just to show people that this is an actual room, and I can tell them this is the wall that I was talking about earlier. And then I've got another camera angle to show you what my setup kind of looks like. So that helps
my setup.
Right. So that helps you see the level of effort that I put into my space, and what that level of effort looks like on camera.
No, but I think all of that's helpful. I just see everything as a game of inches, right? And just that.
Absolutely.
That presentation is a wow factor.
Oh yeah.
So if I'm going to decide if I'm going to do business with Junaid or somebody else that doesn't have that, I mean that will put you over the top.
Absolutely, it's an unfair advantage that I have over other people in Zoom call, because now they're like, okay, sounds good, looks good, he must know something about something, right? He spent enough time and energy to leveling up. It's like showing up in the best suit, the best Armani or Hugo Boss or whatever the fancy people are wearing, in the best suit at an event. Like, okay, this guy is obviously dressed nicely. He must be doing something right. I want to be in business with this guy.
Absolutely. I mean, those details, they certainly matter.
Mm-hmm.
What's next on the horizon for you?
Man, I want to help as many people look good on and shine on camera as possible. So that is what I'm teaching. That is what I'm aiming towards. And as I help more and more people, the next thing that I'm working on is a book. It's and it's I'm still figuring out the name on it, but it's all the learnings that I've learned from the episodes and the guests that I had on,
Wow.
and it's gonna be a fun one.
Wow.
Excellent. So definitely we'll have to when you have the book out, we'll have to bring you back to talk about the book.
I'd be happy to.
And I'm sure you'll probably have some type of virtual reality setup, some other technology. I'm like, Junaid is actually here somehow, and he's
in a drone, just kind of.
Yeah.
But go ahead. You about to say something, Junaid?
No, I said that's definitely the next space, the Meta, right? Facebook changed their name to Meta, and what is that all about? The metaverse. And what's funny is that metaverse is still about 5-6 years away, but Web 3.0 is actually here, and we could talk more about it. I mean, there's a whole different kind of whoop.
Yeah, it's interesting. That just came to mind because there was an interview with Mark Zuckerberg, and he said that he could see in 3 or 4 years that you can actually be, your virtual reality self can be at a meeting, let's say in Texas. Yeah. Everybody's looking at like your hologram. Yeah. So, while you're actually behind your computer.
Right.
It's basically look at Star Trek, right? If you look at movies and TV shows, they're already predicting the future. It's just a matter of time when we invent that technology and make it a reality.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, we've been talking to our hands, to our watches, or not we have, but in Star Trek, right? They have the communicator. They're talking to people long distances. Now we have our smartphones. We could do that, and we could do FaceTime and everything. So yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, just kind of going back to what you're saying, I still kind of see myself on the campus of Norfolk State University and walking up to a payphone and looking at how things are right now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that long ago when you think
about it. No, not at all. I mean, it's the fastest technology has grown in the past 100 years. And I was listening to Joel Comm and what's his name? Darren Hardy. And I don't know if you caught his business address last Tuesday, but he said that in the next 10 years, we'll make more money than the past 100 years.
Wow.
And it's kind of mind-blowing on how fast that is approaching. And that's been around for a decade already, that technology. So
think about that, Eric. If I asked you for a loan, all right, I'll be able to get it to you in 10 years, man. I probably, double it. 10 years.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to keep that in mind, Ted. Yeah. The whole future aspect.
That's right. I got you. Give me 10 years. I got you.
There you go. All right. So we're going to go to our final segment. It's called Write This Down. And this is where we really want to point out the specific things from this episode that we want the entrepreneurs following us to write down so they can level up. And Junaid, you're our guest of honor today. So what should the people write down based off of this episode?
All right. So what you want to write down is, number one, be curious and then take action on that curiosity. Because when you take action on that curiosity, you'll find yourself at the end of a transformation.
Set me up, Eric. You set me up.
So be curious, take action on the curiosity. When you do take action, you'll find yourself on the end of a transformation.
100%. Because I was on a podcast last week, and she's like, "You got to come up with 3 words, Junaid." Like, 3 words? What? I don't have any 3 words. So I was like thinking, and I'm like, hobbies. podcast, studio. Now, these three words didn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so I'm thinking about it, and then I made the connection. I have a ton of hobbies, so that was my curiosity.
Mm.
And then I took action and created the podcast to talk about those hobbies.
Mm.
And as I continued to podcast and build out conversations and build out the studio, well, I built the studio, which became the transformation.
Wow.
But I had to walk that path myself. I couldn't just jump into a studio and start talking, because I had the opportunity to do that actually 3 years ago. My good friend Rob Howes was like, hey, you can come in out to our studio and you can give your talk and we could record it. But I was like, I don't have a story. I don't know what to say on the camera. But now I do, because I walked this walk. I went through this journey. So if there's anything that you can do, is go down that curiosity path and take the journey less traveled, because there are a lot of us to help you along the way.
Wow.
No, that's profound. Thank you for sharing that.
That's
All right,
really-
Ted, no pressure. What's the one thing we want people to write down so they can level up?
Man, presentation is everything. Man, I've been like, I feel like I kind of feel intimidated. Like I keep looking up at this screen. I mean, everything is like so crystal clear, and it's like, when you think about, trying to get that edge on your competition, right? Whether it's how you dress, what you're presenting, and your materials, but just this look that you have right here virtually, and this virtual thing is not going anywhere.
Mm-mm.
Like your interviews, right? Just think of, Eric, I'm trying to get a job, and they see my interview on this screen, then they see, Junaid's screen for an interview, right? Or that business presentation, right? Because, customers now are pretty laid back. Like they're just sitting at the kitchen table and everything. You just come on like this. They're like, who is this guy? Like we need him. Like he looks like he's ready for business.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so presentation is everything. And these like you said, just these different little tricks and things that you're doing, like, you kind of know it's not fair, because you kind of said that earlier. Like, you're at an advantage coming in like this, right? And
Absolutely.
so how do we step up our game when we can't go into the office? You want to get with Junaid so he can help you to get your setup looking like his. Because I know, Eric, we're going to need to get with him on this, right?
Absolutely.
What he can do.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Sure.
presentation is everything.
Yeah, Ted, you bring up a great point.
Thank
If all things are equal and it's between someone else and Junaid, it's a wrap.
You can have that. You can have that.
It's a wrap.
Look for anything, virtual dating, anything. He comes. I keep looking at my beard, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, right here, I was like, this guy right here is looking Hollywood. I'm just looking like, I don't know.
Well, I also had a haircut and a shave before I got here.
Yeah, man, you really got ready for the show, man. The nightly news or something.
What's funny is the lady was like, "Are you going on a date or something? What's going on?" I was like, "No, I'm in front of video a lot."
That's right. That's too funny.
No, that's good stuff. So my piece for this, write this down, it goes back to something Junaid hit on earlier, but I think it's just worth mentioning it again. This idea of teamwork making the dream work. Right? We've all heard that before. Teamwork makes the dream work. And if you look at anybody that you consider to be the GOAT, right? We throw that term around these days. Oh, he's the GOAT, she's the GOAT, the GOAT, the GOAT, the GOAT. They all have one thing in common. They all have a great team of people around them.
Amen.
Yeah.
Like, you may think it's just them. Even if they could be doing like a sport where it's just them, but they still have a team around them, right?
Yes.
They've got a diet person, they've got a psychology person, they've got a coach. They've got somebody that helps them recover. They've got key people all around them. And it's the same thing for business people. Yeah, that person, the celebrity may be the face, but you better believe he's got a team. If you're doing a podcast, you need a team. You know, you need a great assistant, somebody that can help you edit. I just think that's so important in business. And the fastest way to burn yourself out is to go at it like you're the Lone Ranger.
Amen.
That's the key thing. Teamwork makes the dream work. That's my takeaway from this episode. And hopefully that's something you write down in addition to the things that Ted and Junaid said. So,
very good.
All right, man. This has been a fantastic episode. Ted and I are inspired to step our audio and video game up to a whole other level. Thanks to our guest, Junaid Ahmed. How can people connect with you?
They can find me on all social media at Super Junaid. That's SuperJunaid. Or if you want to learn more about leveling up your home studio, you can just visit homestudiomastery.com. And if you want to listen to the podcast, just ask Siri, Google, or Alexa to play the Hacks and Hobbies podcast.
Yeah, this is one of the top-rated podcasts on the planet, like we said earlier.
Wow.
Thank you,
so you
sir.
definitely want to make sure you check them out. He'll help you with the room analysis and everything.
See, we got to bring Junaid back, man, and have him just kind of walk us through, kind of give us a tour of everything, and maybe some little tricks and.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to come back and show you the ropes.
Yeah, for sure. I think that'd be great. All right, again, like I said earlier, don't forget to share the show.
Share the show. Share the show.
Pick
We need to
3
make
people.
a ringtone or a little jingle. Share the show.
You know, like Luther started singing. All right, that's it.
You gotta have some music, man. You gotta keep it.
You have some music over there, Junaid?
I got no music.
Oh man, you gotta get that music with that, boy. You come in like this. That was great.
People will really be sharing the show then. We
That's
get a little
it.
music
That's
with a
it.
jingle.
Right. That's it.
Absolutely. That's something to think about.
That's right.
But again, thank you once again, Junaid Ahmed, for sharing everything you shared and emphasizing the importance of getting the details of your presentation together. We said the sound was the most important. So everybody needs to make sure they get their sound right. But again, I think you need a team. I think you need to add Junaid to your team. That's what I think.
That's what we're gonna do.
Absolutely.
We're just gonna go to Junaid's house and do it from his house.
Come on over. It's not too far.
That's what we need to do one day. We need to do it from his place.
Absolutely. Well, cool. Again, don't forget to share the show. This has been an awesome episode of the 30-Minute Hour podcast. Until next time, have a great one.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.